Hello everyone, in this video we will explore the job option tab available when configuring a job in JS7 workflow. The job option tab allows you to control how a job is executed, define execution time limits, configure warning, and specify when a job is allowed to run. We will walk through each option, explain its purpose, and see how it is used when configuring a job. Let's get started and log in into Job Cockpit. For this demonstration, I'm using default root account with password root. After logging in, navigate to Configuration tab and then select Inventory. In this video, we will continue from previous training video where I have introduced job properties in detail. To demonstrate the available job option, we'll use an existing workflow as an example. Open the workflow and select the required job. Then open the Job Option tab. Let's explore each option one by one, starting with parallelism. But before we begin, let's take a quick look at the Context Help option available at the top, represented by eye icon. Clicking this icon provides additional information about the job option and also provides link to the product knowledge base for more detailed documentation. Parallelism define how many instances of the same job can run simultaneously. For example, if multiple orders reach this job at the same time and the parallelism value is set to 1, only one order can execute the job while the remaining orders wait. If you increase the value, multiple orders can execute the job in parallel, subject to the process limit configured for the agent or agent cluster. Next is timeout. Timeout specify the maximum amount of time a job is allowed to run. If the job exceeds this limit, the agent cancels the job after considering the configured grace timeout. On Windows Agent, if the configured timeout is exceeded, the job is simply cancelled. On Unix and Linux Agent, the termination process happens in two stages. First, the agent sends a SIG-term signal allowing the application to shut down gracefully and complete any cleanup activities. If the job does not terminate within the configured grace timeout, the agent sends a SIG-kill signal which forcefully stops the process immediately. This behavior helps the application exit cleanly whenever possible, while ensuring that jobs do not continue running indefinitely. You can specify the timeout in different formats, such as you can specify in seconds 60, you can simply write 60 or 60s. You can also specify it in hour, minutes and seconds like this. You can simply write 01 colon minutes followed by seconds. Or you can also specify a combination like this 1 month, 2 days, and 5 seconds. We will now click on Show More option button to explore all the fields available in Job Option form. The next field is Grace Timeout. Grace timeout determines how long the agent waits after requesting the job to stop before forcefully terminating it. On Linux and Unix system, the agent first sends a SIG-term signal allowing the process to exit gracefully. If the process is still running after the grace timeout expires, the agent sends a SIG-kill signal to terminate it immediately. Another option to configure is the warn on shorter execution period. This generates a warning when a job finishes earlier than expected. You can specify either a fixed duration or a percentage compared to the average execution time of a previous job run. This option is useful for detecting unusual shorter execution that might indicate incomplete processing, also allow you to monitor jobs that finish much earlier than expected. If a job completes in less time than the configured threshold, JS7 generates a warning and triggers a notification, such as an email depending on your notification configuration, that we will see in the upcoming video how to configure a notification. You can define the threshold using different formats. Specify the duration in seconds, for example 1 second. You can also use hours, minutes, and seconds formats such as 0, 1, colon, then 30 minutes, colon, 30 seconds, and so on, which represents 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 30 seconds. Alternatively, you can specify a percentage, for example, 30%. In this case, J7 compares the current execution time with the average duration of previous successful executions stored in task history. If the current job finishes at least 30% faster than the historical average, a warning is generated. This feature is especially useful for detecting jobs that terminate unusually quickly, which may indicate incomplete processing, skipped step, missing input files, or unexpected program behavior. Similarly, another option is warn on longer execution period. This raises a warning if the job runs longer than the specified duration. If a job exceeds the configured execution time, JS7 generates a warning and sends a notification such as an email. If notifications are configured, we will see how to configure notifications in upcoming video. There are several other ways to define the thresholds. You can specify the duration in seconds, for example 1 second. You can also use hours, minutes, and second format such as 0, 1, colon 30, colon 30, which represents 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 30 seconds. Another option is to specify a percentage, for example 30%. In this case, JS7 compares the current execution time with the average duration of previous successful executions stored in the task history. If the current execution time is at least 30% longer than the historical average, JS7 raises a warning. Unlike the time out option, warn no longer execution period option does not stop or cancels the job. It simply alerts user that the job is taking longer than expected, allowing them to investigate while the job continues to run. Next is compatibility option. This is mainly intended for users migrating from Job Scheduler version 1.x. When enabled, JS7 automatically creates environment variable for all workflow variable using the legacy naming convention. This option also provides compatibility for job arguments used in earlier version. For most new JS7 installation, this option is typically left unchanged. Then we have criticality. This option specifies how important a job is. This value is mainly used by JS7 notification system. If job fails, the configured criticality level helps determine the priority of the generated notification. The criticality can be minor, normal, major, or critical. There is another option called job not restartable. The job not restartable option controls whether a job should be restarted after an agent restart. By default, JS7 considers job to be restartable. If a job is forcibly terminated because the agent stop is cancelled or its watchdog terminates the process, the agent automatically restarts the job when it comes back online. If you enable the job not a restartable option, this automatic restart behavior is disabled. The interrupted job will not be restarted after the agent is available again. This option is useful for jobs that should never be executed more than once, or where restarting could lead to duplicate processing. Next we have credential key. This option is available for Windows Agent. It specifies the key stored in the Windows Credential Manager that contains the credential of the user account under which the job should run. Optionally, a user profile can also be loaded. Then we have Load User Profile option. Load User Profile option is also available for Windows Agent. When this is enabled, target user's window profile including registry setting is loaded before the job starts. These settings can only be used if a credential key is specified. Another option is Failed on Output to Standard. The Failed on Output to Standard error option causes the agent to mark the job as failed whenever the job writes the output to standard error stream. This check is performed in addition to evaluating the job's return value or exit code. Another option is warn on output to standard error. The warn on output to standard error option performs the same standard error check. However, instead of failing the job, JS7 generates a warning and creates a corresponding notification. This is useful when standard error messages are informative but should not cause the job to fail. There is another option, skip job if no admission for order state. This option tells JS7 to skip a job if order's schedule date is not allowed by the configured admission time. For example, if the job is allowed to run only on Monday and Tuesday and an order is scheduled for Wednesday, the job is skipped. If this option is not enabled, the order waits until the next valid admission time instead of being skipped. In simple terms, enable this option if you want JS7 to skip the job when the order's scheduled date is outside the allowed admission time. Another option is terminate job at end of period. This option ensures that a running job does not continue beyond the configured admission time period. If the job is still running when the execution period ends, the agent terminates the job. Finally, we have admission time. This option lets you define when a job is allowed to start. To configure admission time, click Show Period link in the Job Option tab. This opens the admission time configuration window. At the top, select the appropriate time zone. By default, Europe Berlin is selected here. Next, choose the admission type. Here, weekday is selected, allowing you to configure the days of the week on which the job is allowed to start. Optionally, you can also select specific weekdays, specific days, or month days. Then you can select the month range. Month range section limits the admission rule to specific month. You can select every month or choose individual month. Then we have weekdays section. This helps you select the days on which job is allowed to run. You can choose every day or select individual weekday. Now specify a period begin. This defines the time when the period starts. Enter the duration which specify how long the admission period remains valid. Once all the required values have been entered, click Add Start Time rule to create the admission rule. You can repeat these steps to configure additional admission periods if your workflow require multiple schedules. After completing the configuration, click back and return to the Job Option tab. And finally, we have seen here in this video how to configure job option. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.